exclusively as your power to tax and your power to spend. If you forfeit this power, you surrender it to the president, let him go to war at will, you're basically setting a precedent that enables him to steal equally your power to tax and your power to spend. Moreover, the war power is perhaps most dangerous because it inescapably concentrates all power in the executive because of the natural patriotism of the people, the secrecy, the taxes. You will bankrupt the entire country. And that is what the Founding Fathers worried more about than anything else. Indeed, they said the most important provision in the entire Constitution for enshrining a republic was the requirement that only Congress could change us from a state of peace to a state of war. You could not have freedom in a state of constant warfare. And this is no time for summer soldiers and sunshine patriots. In the United States, the law is king. The king is not law. And if we ever forget that, the republic will have surrendered to an empire, and we will all be reduced to vassals.
Absolutely. Very well said. Total veritas. And why not just make George Washington a king? It was offered to him. Why not just have a king? I mean, why don't we now have, King George the 25th right now, his great, progeny. Why not? If we're going to have this, and you've got this coterie of bureaucrats and internationalists and UN people now running the presidency, if this goes through, it is certainly the major signpost that our republic has fallen to the New World Order.
That is absolutely correct. And it's part of it. Maybe you could have some platonic guardian, some great enlightened leader, Hammurabi, who will do great good. But there was one precept upon which this republic was founded. There's a dignity and thrill that comes from charting your own destiny. We may make errors, but we struggle with it ourselves. We are reduced to dwarfs if we are giving responsibility for our own lives and destiny to somebody else. It's a collective endeavor, but we would rather be free and mature and accountable for our own conduct than being some kind of serf to some all-knowing, omniscient wise man. No, we don't want that. We don't want to be a slave. We don't want to be a master either.
Well, it's simple.
That's really the philosophy that is lost from this country. We want and must decide for ourselves. You don't tell us, Mr. Obama, what's good for the nation. We are the nation. We will decide through our Congress whether we want to go to war. You don't tell us.
Okay, I think I'm in love right now. I got to have you back on a routine basis. Because this guy is just, when you talk to somebody who's done the same research you have, times 10, it is just so wonderful. Because, folks, the truth will set us free. When we are put in the position of slaves, we begin to take on the manner of slaves. We need the responsibility of running our republic, not a bunch of crooks at the UN. Stay there, sir. Let's come back and talk about how we get this impeachment against this tyrant. Hi, this is Alex Jones. Did you know that the global elite are now storing non-hybrid seeds in secret storage vaults near the Arctic Circle? Did you know that in a real meltdown, non-hybrid seeds can become more valuable than silver or gold? It's true, seeds have outperformed even gold and silver before in this country, and it's possible that could even happen again. So our friends at Solutions from Science have put together the perfect mix of non-hybrid seeds. They call it a survival seed bank, and it can produce an endless supply of nutrient-dense food for you and your family. And here's the best part. These seeds have not been genetically modified in any way, and you actually get enough seeds to plant a full-acre crisis garden. So visit them today at survivalseedbank.com. That's survivalseedbank.com, or give them a call at 877-327-0365. That's 877-327-0365. Remember, in a real crisis, non-hybrid seeds are the ultimate barter item. This is Alex Jones for survivalseedbank.com.
Dr. David Berry has provided excellent advice for all those interested in practical economics and sound money. It's certainly worth reading.
That's what Congressman Ron Paul said about Cha-Ching Wisdom, 123 Practical Universal Truths About Money, the new book by Dr. David Berry.
The cool part of this book, certainly it'll speak to you personally, your life, your lifestyle, your money, your investments, but it also can be generalized into the nation, what's going on as a nation. We do these same things personally that we do as a nation.
Dr. Berry's book, Cha-Ching Wisdom, presents many facets of your relationship with the once almighty dollar and how current national and international politics affect your daily life.
Some of the other things are about that. They're not just economic, they're philosophical. There's psychology involved in this book. There's philosophy involved in this book.
Read Cha-Ching Wisdom by Dr. David Berry, only $9.95, available at chachingwisdom.com. That's CHACHING wisdom.com. Cha-chingwisdom.com.
Freedom, the blistering anti-globalist anthem from the rock band Ravelin.
Back in Rome's have their tombs. Flexibility with the rules.
Just one of 11 great songs from the album Under the Sun. Available on iTunes and at Ravelin.com. Ravelyn. Ravelin.com.
Spring and a new growing season are here. Plan a healthy garden easy and fast with OrganicaSeed.com. Easy because OrganicaSeed.com offers one of the largest online selections of organic, heirloom, non-hybrid, and untreated seeds, as well as tobacco and cotton seeds at low prices. Go to OrganicaSeed.com, spelled ORGANICA, seed.com. OrganicaSeed.com. Remember, Organica Seed is healthy seed.
Security and continuing stability, the Republic will be reorganized into the first galactic empire for a safe and secure society.
This is how liberty dies, with thunderous applause.
There you go, from Revenge of the Sith, playing on Julius Caesar. Bruce Fein, continuing. I mean, this is the gauntlet. This is crossing the Rubicon. This is full UN domination of the executive. This is treason, is it not?
Well, treason is defined in the Constitution as consisting of levying war against the United States. So it's not strictly the crime of treason, but it's treasonous to the constitutional philosophy, and that's good enough to make it an impeachable offense.
Well, aren't they levying war against the Constitution and the due authority of Congress and the Republic itself? If the Republic is not these laws and these codes and these canons, I mean, this is war.
Well, it's certainly war in the figurative sense. Maybe I'm being a little bit fastidious about the constitutional language. It means levying war against the United States of America. I agree with you. It's war. It's an attack on the United States Constitution. It's an impeachable offense because the Founding Fathers initially had limited those crimes to treason and bribery, and then they said, no, we need to prohibit efforts to subvert the Constitution. Subvert the Constitution. That's exactly what this is. It fits like a glove, the definition of a high crime and misdemeanor that needs to be impeachable and removing the incumbent from office.
Well, the good news is, monitoring Libertarian and conservative radio, a lot of them, most of them are balking at this war, and I don't hear the military calling in, going, rah, rah, war, war. The American people are certainly upset, and it's up to them to put the pressure on Congress, the real government that levies war. What can we do to ensure that this impeachment rolls forward? And do you think you're going to see a movement now? It might help if Congressman Ron Paul comes back out on the floor and basically reads a statement that you've written or that he's written. We need to go ahead and throw the gauntlet right back down at him.
Well, that is correct, and so that would mean all your listeners email or write in, tell them that you've seen the impeachment article I've drafted, that they need to support that, that you are totally opposed to any idea that a president unilaterally can take us to war to defend the credibility of the United Nations Security Council, that you're interested in charting your own trajectory, and this is a step short of Caesar and in Rome. And it's intolerable, and that they're going to lose their vote unless there's some action taken on this score. And it's that kind of writing, that kind of communication. It can even mean going to a state legislative body and urging the state legislature to do that, or resolutions in schools or in Rotary clubs, any kind of organization, any kind of vocal demonstration that this is simply not acceptable to the American people. They do not want to be an empire. They want the military used to defend American interests here at home. And that is got to be communicated, and Congress will operate accordingly. And I will be up there every single day trying through the educational process, and really underscoring they basically are committing perjury if they took an oath to support the Constitution and having it stolen right out from under their eyes, do nothing. Well, what was their oath when they attained office in the U.S. Congress? To support one document only, the Constitution, and the war power being its most important. They don't have the discretion to just shut their eyes. And I think but it's going to take time. We can't expect these kinds of swelling of congressional sentiment and the public to occur overnight. We know we've got distractions elsewhere, and we've become accustomed too much to believing in empire. I mean, Clinton was doing the same thing in Bosnia, Herzegovina.
Stay there, sir.
Whatever.
Back in 1 minute. Let's continue along that important line. 5 more minutes with our guest.
You are listening to GCN. Visit GCNlive.com today.
Over the last year, Alex has told you about, and many of you have experienced, emergencies and disasters in unprecedented numbers. People have had to literally run for their lives. Folks, this is Steve Shank with eFoods Direct. I'm not here to scare you, but when disaster strikes, you won't have time to think. You must act automatically. What does a pilot do when the helicopter engine fails in flight? No time to think, just act automatically. When the alert is broadcast, the alarm sounds, or the knock comes on your door, you'll need to be ready to act without thinking of what to do or what you need. You need a 5-day extreme emergency kit. With serious supplies and real food to secure 2 adults for 5 days, this powerful $300 extreme emergency kit is free with an order of at least $995 from eFoods Direct. Go to efoodsdirect.com/Alex or call 800-409-5633. That's efoodsdirect.com/Alex. 800-409-5633.
Waging war on corruption. Alex Jones on the GCN Radio Network. Big Brother, mainstream media, government cover-ups. You want answers? Well, so does he. He's Alex Jones on the GCN Radio Network. And now, live from Austin, Texas, Alex Jones.
Constitutional lawyer, a man Ron Paul said Bruce Fein is one of the most important legal minds in our time. Constitutional Peril is a must-read for American lovers of liberty. He's up there working hard all this week on Capitol Hill, bringing forward the evidence of impeachable offense, high crime misdemeanor, violating the war clause of Congress, something that the founders were completely obsessed with. Because look at third world countries. Look what we see in Latin America and Asia. It's always the military or some junta out of their legislature taking over. I mean, this is what Eisenhower warned about in his farewell address in 1961. It's happening. Not with a bang, with a whimper. And we're not going to beat this overnight. But we need to put out the challenge now, put out the facts, build the movement against it, because now this power grab has happened, and they're going to accelerate it. You better believe it. What are some other areas that you see that Obama's engaged in that are impeachable, sir?
Well, the 2 greatest ones are asserting authority to place Americans on assassination lists and just kill them because he says they're an imminent threat to the United States. There's no due process, there's no judicial warrant, no finding of probable cause, having committed a crime, just sticking them on assassination lists. I mean, Nixon had his enemies list, but they weren't set out for killing. Maybe he had an IRS audit or something like that. These are the things that tyrants do. An assassination list, even the concept is abhorrent to any nation that cherishes due process of law. We have ways in which we punish people consistent with the law. They can get death sentences like Timothy McVeigh, but we just don't stick them on assassination lists and kill them. The second thing he's done there is he's basically suspended, the right of trial in Guantanamo Bay for American citizens. He can identify you or me as an enemy combatant. That is, in some way, we're affiliated with Al-Qaeda or those involved in 9/11. We're affiliated, and then we don't get a trial. We don't get accused of anything. We just get to sit and rot in detention for life, because we're supposed to stay there until the end of the war against international terrorism.
And now we're hearing Petraeus, set to be the new CIA director, saying don't do things, even if it's free speech, that hurt the war effort. And I hear conservative hosts saying, yeah, maybe we should arrest Koran burners. No, folks, if we don't have the right to do that, we have no right. We have no free speech. And in closing, looking at this with the TSA and the hands down the pants, all the things they're doing, is there any doubt in your mind, Mr. Fein, that the system across the board is trying to break our will and set the precedent that all 10 of the First Amendments to the Bill of Rights are dead?
Yes, it's trying to set the precedent that the whole purpose of government is, in its government's view, to make us risk-free. And since we all have a capability of being evil, then we all get to be detained, searched, hounded, and everything else, because maybe we could do something evil since we're not saints. It's trying to reduce the country to a de facto police state.